Hello and welcome to Lily's Library. So today we're going to be going through a bunch of Sapphic book recommendations because it is Sapphic September. Now this isn't all of the Sapphic books that I own, but I thought I'd get a mix of a few different genres for us to go through and talk about. If you do want more recommendations, maybe I'll go through my entire shelf and go through them all. But we've got a mix of sci-fi, fantasy, we've got a manga, historical fiction, romance, all sorts of good stuff. Okay, starting with sci-fi, we've got a memory called Empire by Arkady Martine. This is book one in the Text-Kalan duology. These are space operas. They're very confusing, but very fun and a really interesting world to navigate. These are very heavy on the politics of this world. So in this, we follow our main character, Mahit, who is sent from her space station to this, like the capital of this empire, to be a ambassador for her station because the previous ambassador was killed and hadn't been back in ages. Her people also have this technology where they can kind of put like these little data chips into the back of someone's head and share knowledge throughout different lines. So they use them for pilots, so pilots always know the routes and all their training and that kind of stuff. But because this ambassador hadn't been back to their station for like over a decade, all the information they have on Text-Kalan, the empire, is very out of date. So Mahit is sent there to find out what happened to the previous ambassador, if he just died from some unlucky thing that happened, if it was a medical complication, if it was just old age, or whether he was actually killed. And in this, we also follow Three Seagrass, who is kind of her companion in this. Three Seagrass's job is to help Mahit navigate Text-Kalan and to help her find out everything, because that's where Three Seagrass is from. And we follow them as their relationship kind of blooms and they connect, and then also the chaos and the impending civil war that is happening and the unrest in this area. It is really full on and insane and beautiful at the same time and has some of the best writing I've ever read. It's one of my favorite duologies of all time and something I think a lot more people need to read. Moving on to fantasy, I've got another duology which starts with Road to Ruin by Hannah Lee. This is the Mage by Courier books. They are so fun and fast paced. If you have been in a reading slump, I think these are the perfect books to get you out of them because they are so fast paced and fun and just so well done. But in this, we follow Jin, who is a mage bike courier. She has a certain talent that means that she can ride these bikes through this kind of wasteland to all these other cities. There's only a few different cities and areas that still exist in this day and time because of the really bad storms that have been ravaging this world that seem to only be getting worse. So we follow Jin as she takes these letters to this princess and prince from these different cities, and kind of we see their love unfolding in these letters, but Jin is also kind of in love with both of them. And one day when she's going to see the princess and take a letter back to the princess instead asks Jin to take her with her so she can escape because she's being set up into an arranged marriage and she doesn't want to be in part of this and just wants to be with this prince. And we navigate that as Jin tries to get her to escape, and they navigate the wastes and all the chaos that ends up ensuing. I won't say too much more than that, but we've got Sapphic representation in this. It's also polyamorous and hella queer, and I absolutely love it. It has really, really good character arcs, especially for some of the bad guys. Next, we've got the Dragon Doorstopper books, which I'm only going to be talking about A Day of Fallen Night by Samantha Shannon, but these books are absolutely incredible. This is the Roots of Chaos cycle, which we've also got a little kind of short story, not a short story, but a shorter book that is coming out in September. So it's the perfect time to kind of get you into the Roots of Chaos if you've been wanting to explore that. But this is set in a world where we have got dragons that have brought upon a lot of chaos and destruction, but we've also got people in certain areas that worship these dragons and ride them and have a really strong connection to them. We explore what it means to be a woman in these different time periods, about fighting for justice and yourself, about trying to free your country and your empire, and also about just being queer in this day and time as well. We've got so many different things it explores. It looks a lot about religion as well and the way different interpretations of the same text change throughout different countries and time periods. And it is just really good. I don't want to say too much more, but I think Among the Burning Flowers, which is a direct prequel to Priory of the Orange Tree, would be the best place to start, especially if you are daunted by the size of these books. But they are just phenomenal. They're some of my favorite books. They're definitely not for everyone, but they're beautiful. The sapphic romance and relationships in these are just perfection as well. Samantha Shannon is such an amazing writer, and I think the growth between Priory and this is just so evident of her skill. Next, on to a kind of cozy fantasy paranormal romance, we have got Pumpkin Spice and Poltergeist. This is by Ali K. Mulford and K.L. Morrison. But book 2 of this is also out now, and that is Curses and Cold Brew. But in this one, we follow Jordan, who is a witch who has just summoned the ghost of her ex-girlfriend and now can't get her to go away. And then one day Harlow moves to town, who is the sister of someone else that works in this very paranormal town, but she's just human. And we kind of follow them as they're navigating this dynamic and the relationship that blooms and ensues while also dealing with this pesky ghost that won't leave them alone. It's really cute and fun and so sweet. And like I said, Curses and Cold Brew is out as well. In this one, we follow a demon and a witch who is Jordan's best friend as they kind of are navigating this thing that is stealing some souls from this demon before she can come and collect them. These are just really fun and the perfect autumnal and fall read, especially if you are in the Northern Hemisphere and want to save something for closer to Halloween. As for just romance, I've got another Ali K. Mulford book, and that is Party Animal. This is book 3 of the Prickle Island Zoo series. All of these have got a lot of queer characters in them. I think pretty much all of the women in this series have been queer. We've got bisexual people and pansexual, we've got demisexual representation as well, but I'm purely going to be focusing on this one because this is the only one with a sapphic romance in it. But in this we follow Finch Lachlan, who is the vet at Prickle Island Zoo, and her family really want her to kind of start taking life a bit more seriously and stop sleeping around with all the college students that come every summer to intern there, and to also start taking care of herself and taking a break and not being such a workaholic. Then we have got Frankie, who is the new chef at the zoo. Frankie has just gotten out of a really long-term relationship with this guy. They were engaged, they were going to get married, they had the perfect life, and then everything kind of just goes wrong. And he immediately gets a new girlfriend, and she's kind of questioning herself and her sexuality as well. So we explore that as Frankie is trying to find herself, and also as Finch is trying to find herself in her own way. And what ends up happening, they end up fake dating as well to appease Finch's family and to also try and get back at Frankie's ex. But obviously that goes wrong. It's just very fun and sweet and some really great spicy scenes in this as well. Next, we've got one of the best rom-coms I think I've ever read, and that is Love Unleashed by Melanie Saywood. This is just so fun and just like everything you could want from a rom-com and so much more. So in this we follow Bryn, who is an Indigenous Australian woman, and she moves from Brisbane to New York to chase her dreams to work in the publishing industry. But when she gets there, she kind of realizes that she's out of her depth a bit and is trying to just make do with what she can get done, and ends up working at a doggy daycare. We follow her as she kind of dates and tries to find herself. She meets a man who she thinks will help get her a job in publishing, but that kind of ends up completely changing. And her whole life is kind of thrown out of whack as she is navigating this. It is such a sweet and fun book, really tender and heartbreaking at times as well, because Bryn's mum had gone to New York previously and it was something they'd always dreamed about and was such a big part of Bryn's life. So we've got a lot of letters and stuff to do with her mum as well, which is very sweet. But this is just such a fantastic and fun book. If you can get your hands on it, I highly recommend picking it up because it was one of my favorite reads from last year. The next book is, I don't really know how to classify this book. It's like a weird fiction, I would say, but it is Our Wives Under the Sea by Julia Armfield. Again, this was one of my favorite books I read last year. I ended up reading it twice. So in this we follow Leah and Miri, and Leah ended up going on a mission to explore the sea, and something went terribly wrong and they ended up getting stuck on the ocean floor for an unspecified amount of time. Then Miri is her wife, and we're kind of following Miri once Leah has gotten back and the things that have changed and haven't changed. We look a bit about what it was like for Miri when Leah was gone and she was on her own, and then once she was back, and then we also look at Miri's time under the sea, and it is it's such a sad and beautiful book. It's one that you kind of need to spend a bit more time with, and it very much has an open ending and leaves you with a lot more questions than answers, but it is one of the best books I have read. Julia Armfield is just an amazing writer, and I really, really loved this one and think a lot of people should pick it up. The next one is a bit different, and we have got a manga, and that is the guy she was interested in. It wasn't a guy at all. This is the Green Yuri, as it is more commonly known, but this is a kind of coming of age book. In this we follow one of our characters, Aya, who is a fashionista. I believe she's meant to be like a garu, but she's a really popular girl at school and always has the guys loving her and stuff, but she really does not like them and honestly kind of hates them, which I'm here for. I love it. And one day she is walking home from school and gets off at a different station and discovers this little music shop, and she decides to go in and have a look and sees this guy working there and is kind of immediately infatuated with him. But the guy that is working there is actually one of her classmates. And Mitsuki is this one that Aya thinks is a guy, so we kind of explore them as they're both trying to navigate this to see if Aya does recognize who Mitsuki is actually or not, and their like connection that builds and grows through their mutual love of music. And it is just so sweet and fun, and I absolutely love all of the characters in this. It's also very like queer normative, which I really enjoy. There's like, it's just so accepting and fun, and there's not really any issues with it. It's just kind of the chaos of them being together. It's just really fun and sweet. Okay, the final book is one of my most recent reads and probably one of my favorite reads from this year, and that is Until the Red Leaves Fall by Ali Parker. This is a historical fiction set in the 1950s Melbourne. It's very much heavily focused on the theatre world. It kind of gives Yellowface vibes along with The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, and I know Ali has comped it to The Safekeep as well, but that's not one I have read. But in this we follow Emmy Darling. She is married to this really renowned and well-known playwright in Melbourne, but his best scenes and some of his best work is by Emmy. She is the one that was behind those scenes and helped him craft them and make them what they are and make them what people love. And one day her husband starts working with this really famous actress, but he gets sacked because he won't bow to what she wants. She always wants to be the female lead, or to be the lead, and he refuses to do that. So instead, this actress ends up hiring Emmy to write this play, and they want to do something that's never been done before and something that will have this actress as the main character. And Virginia, this actress, kind of forces Emmy into doing this play on Emmy's story. Emmy is Japanese Australian, and her family was put into the internment camps in Victoria following the events of Pearl Harbor, and she spent a decent part of her teenage years in those camps, and it's a secret that she's kind of kept with her all this time, because as soon as people find out that she is Japanese, their perception of her and their response to her immediately changes. Like, her husband hasn't even really met her family properly and doesn't even talk about her heritage at all. So Emmy is kind of trying to deal with being able to tell the truth about what happened to her family and everyone else that was in the same situation as her, while also following what Virginia wants and trying to make this a play that is worth telling and a story that is worth sharing with others. And we kind of follow it as it gets twisted and changed to suit Virginia's wishes, and Emmy trying to fight for what she really wants in it and still do right by herself and her family. We've also got a really cute, sweet, queer family aspect to this. There's this little like speakeasy that's near the theatre that Emmy always escapes to and is there a lot of the time, and that's where she meets the main love interest of this. It's not a huge focus that Emmy is queer. It's one of the least important things about her, which I really loved and appreciated it. It just made it so normal and just natural in it, the way that it was handled. Like, it wasn't a big deal that that's who she was, and I really did enjoy that. It does also touch on a bit about what it means to be queer during this time period as well and what happens, but the main focus is really Emmy's identity and being Japanese Australian and the way that that changes so much. This is such an insane book. The last third of it is something that you won't want to put down. I stayed up so late to try and finish this because I just needed to know what happened. The ending of it is so satisfying and infuriating at the same time. This book is just perfection. I do also just want to read one quote to you that I think will help kind of explain a bit more about what this book is as well. And it says, "To be different, to act differently, it frightens the people who have always done as they've been told," which I think is very much a perfect way to summarize this book, and is a very important book to read given what is currently happening in the world, especially in Australia. So I just need everyone to pick this up because, like I said, it is one of the best books I have read this year. These are a stack of Sapphic books I think you should pick up for Sapphic September. Let me know, like I said, if you do want any other recommendations, because I've got a lot more to get through, and there's a few on my TBR that I've yet to get through to as well that we will be talking about later on. But make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Drop down below some of your Sapphic recommendations as well for Sapphic September, and I will see you all with a new video next week. Goodbye.